Hello and welcome to another video. My name is Boxiest, and today we are going to continue the What If series. What if events had gone differently? And in this What If, we're going to change the history of Cobra Kai. What if Mr. Han trained Miguel during the events of Cobra Kai? So in this timeline, the events of the 2010 Karate Kid movie would actually be canon to the events of Cobra Kai, and they would share the same universe. And in 2016, Dre and Mr. Han would move to the US because Dre would go to college there, and Mr. Han would get a job in the same apartments Johnny lived, and the events of Cobra Kai would still happen. Miguel would move to the valley, and Miguel would still be picked on by Kyler at the parking lot. But in this timeline, Mr. Han would be the one to save Miguel. He would use Kung Fu to defeat Kyler and his friends. Miguel would be impressed, and he would ask Mr. Han if he could teach him, so Mr. Han would accept. At first, Miguel wouldn't understand the training, and he would complain that he wasn't learning anything, but Mr. Han would continue to get Miguel to pick up his jacket, put it on, take it off, and hang it up. Eventually, Miguel would see that he was learning Kung Fu. He would tell Miguel that he wasn't his first student, and he would tell him the story of how he helped Dre in China. Dre would occasionally help out by teaching Miguel some Kung Fu. Miguel would be practicing Kung Fu outside his apartment, and Johnny would notice. He would tell Miguel that karate was better, that he didn't need Kung Fu when he could learn real authentic American karate. So Johnny would decide to open up Cobra Kai, but Miguel wouldn't be interested. Instead, he would stick with Kung Fu. So Johnny would go out recruiting for some students, and in this timeline, Aisha would actually be the first student in Cobra Kai. Kyler and Sam would be dating, and Daniel would still invite Kyler to his house, and the same things would happen. Kyler would say that he was beaten up by some guy using martial arts, but Daniel would assume that it was Johnny. So Daniel would confront Johnny. So the rivalry between Johnny and Daniel would resume after 30 years. Eventually, Sam and Kyler would break up, and Miguel would still save Sam in the cafeteria. Eli and Dimitri would want to learn Kung Fu from Mr. Han, so Miguel would invite them so that they could learn Kung Fu, and Sam and Miguel would start dating. Daniel would meet Miguel, and he would like that Miguel was into martial arts, and he would tell him that he had a mentor that taught him karate, and he would offer to teach Miguel. Miguel, not wanting to be rude, would accept, so Miguel would train in both Kung Fu and Miyagi-Do. Cobra Kai would get some students, and Robbie would eventually find out that Johnny was running Cobra Kai, and he would see how Johnny was slowly changing, so Robbie would end up joining in this timeline. Cobra Kai would train for the All Valley. Daniel would want to get Miguel to compete in the All Valley, and Miguel would use a combination of Miyagi-Do and Kung Fu during the All Valley, and he would beat out the students of Cobra Kai, and Miguel would be the All Valley champion. Mr. Han and Daniel would be proud of Miguel. Mr. Han would say that it was good that Miguel was learning multiple martial arts, and since Cobra Kai didn't win the All Valley, Kreese wouldn't come back, but the rivalry between Johnny and Daniel would continue, and many students would want to train like Miguel, so Miguel would tell Mr. Han that he should open up a martial arts school, and he would tell Mr. Han that he should team up with Daniel so that they could combine their styles. So Mr. Han and Daniel would open up Miyagi-Han martial arts, and many students would join. Mr. Han, Daniel, and even Dre would teach the students a combination of Kung Fu and karate. Johnny wouldn't like this, and there would be a rivalry between Cobra Kai and Miyagi-Han martial arts, and there would be a couple fights between them. Mr. Han would try to stop the rivalry between Johnny and Daniel. He would say that this wasn't what Kung Fu and karate were about, but Daniel wouldn't want to hear it, and Eli and Dimitri would become stronger fighters, and they would both get confidence. Sam would end up joining. Daniel would get the idea to advertise Miyagi-Han martial arts during Valley Fest, but much like in the original timeline, Cobra Kai would steal the show, and Tori would end up joining Cobra Kai in this timeline. Tori would end up dating Robbie, and there would still be a rivalry between Tori and Sam, and that is where I'm gonna end this what if. Thank you guys for watching. What do you guys think would have happened if Mr. Han trained Miguel during the events of Cobra Kai? Let me know in the comments below. All members have access to emojis that can be used in comments and live streams. This isn't mandatory. This is only something extra if you want to support the channel even more. YouTube lets me know that the majority of you are not subscribed, so if you guys could subscribe, that would be much appreciated. Thank you guys for watching. Make sure to like this video, subscribe, and turn on post notifications. And I'll see you guys next time.